is glamour? Frailty. What is desire? Diamonds. They say a life lived without passion is hardly worth living.
Ma'am? Ma'am? Ma'am?
Dang, this one made me feel all special.
The host, the color guy for 101.7 The Team, and a little different this year. We're putting a little credibility. Josh Brown and Josh Luna are back there, and they're gonna pick our picks. They're gonna put them, and then instead of us saying how great we are, we haven't done so.
Yeah, a little bit of a contest
here. A little contest here. So let's get started. Let's get started with the left side of the bracket and Volcano Vista, Carlsbad, 7 o'clock game Saturday night. Yeah, guess what? I'm the host, so you get to.
I get to pick first here.
No, you get a comment and talk.
Okay, well I'll come in and talk real quick.
Then you make your pick in case I sway you over. All right. So.
No, you're not going to sway me, Steve. Obviously, Volcano Vista getting the #1 seed. Carlsbad having to travel. Not to get too detailed, because right now talking about Volcano, I think. 1 versus 16. In previous years, I think there's been some matchups that we think, hey, that 16 might have a chance at getting a piece of the #1. I think Sandia went with a really good team to Las Cruces a few years back. We thought maybe they could pull the upset, but I don't see it happening this year with Volcano and Carlsbad. I would move Volcano right along.
Well, Carlsbad, Coach Brown, basically they lost the last 5 out of 7 games, and some of those games were to Hobbs and to Clovis, so that's not a bad team to lose to at this time of the year. But I agree with you. Just to move on real quickly, I think Volcano Vista has more depth, and so we're going to go. Well, both of us are going to go Volcano Vista. The next one, intriguing. Hobbs Clovis, something that's dear to my heart. Yeah. Hobbs is 20-7, and Clovis is 20-8, and you get to speak.
Well, it's an 8-9 game, and Jaden Nisler's doing an outstanding job down there at Clovis, and Shelby's done a great job in his first year as well as a coach for Hobbs. This one's interesting because Clovis has proven they could go to Hobbs and win, which they did during the regular season, and during the district championship, and they won. And I apologize for that, during the regular season. But the one thing about Clovis is that they've played well this year on the road. They've done well on the road. And
tough schedule. A very tough schedule early in the year.
Yeah, and I think they've scheduled it that way. I think he planned it that way. I think they wanted to face some tough competition. I don't know. Hobbs and Hobbs, when you beat Hobbs and Hobbs, it's an upset no matter who you are, when it is. So with that being said, I'm going to take Clovis in this game because I like Coach Isler. I like what he's about. I like what he's done with this team. And I think he's built a team that can be mentally strong enough to go in there and win.
Well, first of all, Shelby Reeves, unbelievable job at Hobbs. I'm a little biased on this, so this is nothing against the southern part of the state. So I graduated from Clovis, and Coach Isler, is done. So This is just an emotional thing with me. I'm going Clovis on this.
Yeah, I think it's, and I'll tell you, take the emotion out of it. I'm still going with Clovis. I think they have a really good chance to win. People don't realize this, and no one really probably would care. But I played my last high school game was against Shelby Reeves. Him and I were both seniors. He played at Hobbs and I played at Cibola, and they knocked us out in the pit in the state tournament.
One thing about it, we know it's going to be sold out.
Yeah.
It's 3,500 plus, I think, and it's going to get your tickets. 7 o'clock game, 7 o'clock start at Hobbs, and I know one year, just Hobbs made Clovis. You had to have an ID, and they had a certain area.
Oh yeah.
That you had to go sit in.
Yeah.
So I know Clovis did that the next year. When everybody from Hobbs and they put them
all up in one area.
No, put them up in the rafters,
Yeah.
away from the game and
Yeah.
everything. But they actually ID'd them when they came into the thing and sent them up the deal. So little rivalry, and I think Jaden Isler and they both have played against each other at Hobbs,
Yeah.
and or played at Hobbs, and that. Clovis, some people, I think, is one of the biggest rivalries in the state.
Oh no, and sometimes it hasn't gone away. I was hoping that we, would get a chance to see. I think it was Jalen Young from Hobbs play here, and we still might. But if our picks come true, we won't. But I heard he's a dynamic player.
And from Clovis, you got Caliber, you got the big guy, and we'll since we're Mance, we'll talk more about Clovis's personnel in the next one. So
sounds good.
Okay, let's go down to the Santa Fe Manzano. Santa Fe comes in 21-7, and Manzano 14-12. Two teams that know each other well. Real
well, and but I will tell you, talk about atmospheres, and we talk about the pit and how it's going to be. Come Wednesday.
Little small pit,
yeah,
right?
That's small pit there in Toberoy Ball Arena there, and I would tell you that I think that place is going to be packed. It's going to be an outstanding atmosphere, and I'm going to go ahead and take Santa Fe in this game. I like the Demons. I'm going to roll with them for definitely this game against Manzano.
Coach Romero, great job. Unbelievable taking over, and they built a new stadium just because he got his coaching and signed his contract. He got the new arena at Manzano, and it's going to be these names here are kind of special to me. Is Powell, Blankenship, and his son Romero. I mean this it seems like, and then their scorer Allen. I mean but I think that Kavanaugh and Levato are going to take over at Santa Fe, and I think, and we don't give any credit how good a coach is Zach Cole. I mean, he's doing a really great job. So I'm going Santa Fe.
All right, let's move them on.
All right, El Dorado, Capital.
This will be a tougher game than people realize, in my opinion. I know it's a
5 game, 5 o'clock start.
Yeah, 5 o'clock early start. 4-13 matchup. Capital is going to be a scrappy team. It's going to be a very, very hard matchup for El Dorado's personnel. Ben Gomez, outstanding basketball coach. He's going to have his guys ready. I'm going to take El Dorado in this game, but I'm just, and I said that, and it's in a real close El Dorado, because this game I don't think is going to be a typical 4-13 score that you would see. I think this game will be no more than 4 points either way.
El Dorado coming in 21-6 and Capital 21-9, and I watched Capital against Albuquerque High, and you coached against Gomez. I mean, when you were coaching, and he might have been an assistant at that time, but what he's done at Santa Fe and what he means to Capital is, there's a little bit of, he's got a little chemistry. He's got good. Good. I mean, they sold out. They sold out when Capital and Santa Fe played. Can Quintana? I guess the question is, can Quintana carry this team since they lost Valencia?
Yeah, and he did pretty much last week during the district tournament.
Well, and to go one step with that, the guys that haven't played, Roy. I mean, if an injury was good timing. They've had 4 games. The other guys now are not looking over their shoulder. They're in game shape. Now they have a week to kind of work on the things that they did bad in the previous 4 games. So, but I'm gonna move with El Dorado.
And I think one thing I'll say about the El Dorado is, when they lost Steve in the playoff game to La Cueva on that Monday night, the game was played at Sandia High School, and I believe you guys did it on ProView, and that might have been the best loss for El Dorado all year, because what it gave them an opportunity to do was play 3 more games that week without Valencia.
I agree, yeah.
And if they would have won that game, they would have only had 1 more game that week, and they would have played on that Saturday. I think those games really helped, help blend that team together, get them a little bit more together, knowing that they didn't have Cameron, Valencia, and some of those other kids come in and are starting to get a little bit more comfortable. So when people say there's no such thing as a good loss, I think in that case that was a good loss.
All right, now we're going to go to the lower bracket. Number 3, Rio Rancho, coming in at 19-8, and Gadsden, number 16-9.
This time of the year, I always talk about having players, and when you have a great player, whether it be in college or in high school, if you have a great player, they can carry you through some games. And Rio Rancho has a great player in Patterson, and he's had an outstanding year. He's the last of the Patterson. This is David Patterson, and I think the fact he's going to go to Air Force, he's going to play as a legit college basketball player. Having him on the court, a game like this, I think it's going to make a big difference for Rio Rancho.
Well, I think Gaston traveling on the road, coming in, Juan Gonzalez got 2 players, Hernandez and Serrano's averaging 17 and 14 points a game. So they got some scores, they got some deals. They played a tough, they had to play Las Cruces and play in those and play them, close. They weren't embarrassing losses. So, but I'm going to go with Rio Rancho.
Yep, let's move them on.
And this wasn't rehearsed. This is, I stayed up all night working on this. So here we go. The Trisco Heritage and Roswell, another early game. It's 5 o'clock, and Trisco Heritage comes in at 18-7, and Roswell 17-10, and Roswell, very young team. Coach Borrello has 2 sons that are doing very well. Played Cleveland a 3-point game early in the year, 100-97, but again playing Hobbs and Clovis, and being a number 3 team in that district.
Well, they started out real hot early in the year, and then they played well early, and they kind of got into that district. And I think what happens sometimes, you talked about it with their youth, that sometimes that youth will start to show a little bit, and sometimes it happens a lot in district play. And then when you're playing at places like Clovis and places like Hobbs, and with such tradition of those programs, it can set in quick. Plus, they moved up in a class too, so this is kind of a different level of basketball than they're used to. I expect this to be I think it's going to be a good game, but I think the Trisco at home, defending state champs, a lot of experience back from last year. I'm going to go with Trisco.
Ramos is probably one of his exciting players. I mean, you've seen him a long time for his size and the things he does, and you just don't, you've done some games, and to see him do some stuff like a magician, man, you're like, did I just see that? I mean, I keep, now when I do a game, it's like I expect to see something I haven't seen before.
What I see in him, and I've never met the kid. Like I said, I've watched him closely for 2 years.
And, well, let me. Awesome kid.
Okay, and I've heard that. I've heard great things. Yeah, great things about him. The one thing from afar I could see with him is that I don't know if I've seen a kid who competes harder than him in the state. And of all the kids I've watched at any particular time, there's great players and there's great competitors, and there's some that might compete as much, but I don't know if any compete harder than he does. Every game, every play, he seems like he's giving it 110%, and on both ends of the court.
Well, so your pick.
I'm going to move on with the Trisco.
Well, I'm going with the Trisco. All right. Probably controversiest team in the deal, Cleveland number 7 and La Cueva number 10, and Cleveland coming in with a record of 24-6, 16-10. Cleveland rated most of the time number 1, and then got in their district, and then you look at those losses and the 4 losses in their district.
Yeah, another great game though, and this is a little bit different from like when you talk about the El Dorado Capital game. This isn't as far spread apart in terms of seeds. This is 7-10, and La Cueva, I thought had a pretty good finish to the end of the year. They were able to beat El Dorado twice. and they started playing together better. And I think they took some early season bumps with a tough early season schedule, and had a game down in Clovis that they lost. That people say that maybe they should have won. There was a problem with the scorekeeping at that point, but that was yesterday.
That's history.
Yeah, that was yesterday. This game will be a close game. This as good as Cleveland is, La Cueva's a good basketball team too.
Well, they got a shooter in Isles, and again they got a big guy in Ortega. The question mark is the consistency of their guards. If their guards are very consistent, don't turn the ball against them, then this could be a very close game.
Cooper's got to stay out of foul trouble. Micah Cooper. Isles has got to stay out of foul trouble. That's what really hurt him against El Dorado. But the kid that's a sleeper in this game that's been playing really good is Lowry. Lowry's played well about these last, I would say, 3 weeks. He's starting to get a little bounce now. He's hard to stop inside. His scoring's been
confidence is way high.
Yeah, and they're getting him the ball. So he could be the difference in this game. I'm going to take Cleveland at home, but
this is the game. Yeah. This is the game. This could be. I agree with you. I'm taking Cleveland, and the reason I'm taking Cleveland is their defense. Muhammad and Smith, the way they get after you, and that's going to be the difference of the game.
And it could be with that guard play,
right?
Because there's a little suspect guard play with La Cueva.
But if Isles goes off and gets his 30 shots and he's on,
it's going to be a different game. And I think if Cleveland's forced to score in the half court, that could create some problems as well. But this will be a great game. And Cleveland's a 7 seed, and they're a great team. But gosh, I mean, they probably have no one to blame but themselves for that 7 seed. Now you can take whatever the enemy had to do and put people slide in, but probably in those districts, there was probably 3 district losses that they should have won if they just would have managed things.
If you really take 35 seconds,
yeah,
and they were ahead with those 35 seconds and lost on the last second shot, on buzzer beaters and the whole thing. And
crazy.
So Cleveland. Well, we come to the last game on the left of the whole bracket here. We got Oñate and Las Cruces, and Las Cruces 28-0. Oñate 18-11. Maybe one of the best. I don't know if you've seen this, Lujan. He's one of the best cards in the state.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen him. Heard nothing but good things about him. Everybody really, I know when people saw him I think he was here for the Academy tournament, and I got a couple text messages, phone call from people saying, hey, you got to go watch this kid play. But, and if you're Las Cruces, you can't be happy with this matchup because now you're facing
if you think about it, they were down at halftime just a week ago.
Yeah, I know. And it gets to a point where teams can, kind of start getting comfortable with you. I'm still going to take Las Cruces in this game, but again, this is a
good game to go watch. Yeah. And it could.
This could be a nightmare for Las Cruces if they don't come ready to play. I think Coach Benjamin will have the kids ready, but this won't be an easy game for them.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's go to the Dream Style Top 10 Plays of the Week and come back and move forward.
Sounds good. Is that like the buzzing when you had to take a break? Is that what that is? Oh, so you just kind of.
How much time do we use? I want to get through that. Usually takes longer than.
Long three by Bates, yes.
We're at how long?
We're at 18 minutes now, so after the top 10 comes back,
Antonio throws it away. Spins.
Well, we'll go a little long on this one, and then then we'll get to the deal that we'll break them down.
Fine. Delonte Gray, here comes Mon. Send it in.
Just let me go with it. Don't even look at me, and then we'll figure out what the time is. Leave Terry wide open. Look at this from Mohammed all the way at a spin.
So we agreed with this. We pretty much agreed. You probably thought I was going to take Hobbs.
The drive back at the other end. Beautifully done. That's the age-old question. Here's Manzano. He's being worked on by Nakai Smith. Manzano going all the way to the basket.
Smith says, give me that. Here's Mon, and he'll throw it.
Three to play. Deathridge looks up. He's been clutch all year. Is he going to get one off? He does, and he cans it. Nothing but ice through the veins of Jake Deathridge.
gets it back. Mohamed alley-oop to Munn. You're not going to score really with .6 here unless Davina Lovato knocks us down.
And I'll,
And he got it! And I guess it was worth it.
That's a great call.
Unbelievable by Davina Lovato.
High school sports are back. The 2018-19 season kicks off, and you could watch every ProView Network broadcast live on the NFHS network. Every moment, from every game, from every sport, including all NMAA state championships. Get your highly discounted monthly pass now. Go to ProViewNetworks.com and sign up. Watch New Mexico's best. Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales. Car Crafters, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Hey, welcome back to Steve Davis Show. We got Brian O'Neill, color analysis for 101.7 The Team for the state tournament. And Brian, we got through the first side. Let's get going with this other side. So,
yeah.
And we got Volcano Vista and Clovis.
Tough matchup for Clovis, in my opinion.
Two losses.
Yeah. They
one at home and one in road.
Yep, and it's just Volcano is just a tough matchup for them. One thing that what Clovis can do is they can kind of pick you apart if you're not a complete team. Unfortunately for them, Volcano Vista is a complete team. I like Volcano Vista, and be a midday game. Clovis will have time to prepare for that, being up here. But just from top to bottom, I just don't see Clovis being able to stay with Volcano Vista for 4 quarters.
Good matchups, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Aragon and you got Cabalou from Clovis and Morgan, to go against Madrid. I mean, I'm saying, but again, it goes back to guard play. I think that guard play and depth for Volcano is with Deathridge and Gray and Hill, and we can just go down the list of people that battle.
Yep.
They got to deal. So I'm to make it real simple and easy. I'm going to go with Volcano Vista.
Yeah, and I agree.
Well, we talked about this one. Santa Fe and El Dorado. 4:45 start for that Clovis at the pit. Okay, on Wednesday. So. For people that need to get their tickets, go ahead and go to MMA, get your tickets, buy your NFHS pass. If you can't see it, watch it online. If not, watch it and listen to it on 101.7 The Team, because you're going to be there.
Yeah, we will, and it's good because I think as a fan, obviously you want to be at the game if you can be there, and if you're home and you can log on the computer, then you're going to have that opportunity to do so. And then if you're driving to the game, you're driving back, and you feel you're going to miss something, tune into 101.7 The Team, and this way you catch all the action any way you like.
Santa Fe, El Dorado.
Let me tell you what jumps out at me with this game more than anything.
And you get a pick first again.
Yeah. I'll tell you what jumps out at me with this game is the start time. I have no idea how Santa Fe is going to approach this. If they're going to try to come down the night before and spend the night, or they're going to get up early.
9:45
yeah.
start.
So, if you're Santa Fe, if you can say, okay, we'll sleep in our own beds, then you got the hour to get down here. You want to get to the gym, and at least an hour ahead of time. Now you're talking about 8:45, 7:45. You're getting up. So I don't know how they're going to approach it. If they're going to come down here, get a hotel the night before, and that creates problems, and it does. At the high school level, when you're not used to staying in hotels for trips and things like that, it creates problems. So the early start time, I think, really gives an advantage to El Dorado in this game. I'm going to say because of experience, because of guard play, I'm going to go ahead and take the Eagles in this game, El Dorado, and again, another tough, close game against a very well coached and very good basketball team as a whole.
Well, both teams are well coached.
Yeah,
unbelievable. And you know what? They lost the big guy, and he lost. Two similarities. Both of them lost their number one players, and Santa Fe lost it earlier in the year, and they had more time to play without him. And El Dorado, as we know, 2 weeks ago. So similar in
two players, Steve, that arguably are two of the top 5 players in the state, definitely top 10, with J.B. White and Cameron Valencia. It's unfortunate we're talking about this game without both their teams not having their best player.
What a matchup with.
Phenomenal. And so I think that's, it's disappointing as a fan because that would be great to see, and it's disappointing for those kids in particular, especially Valencia being a senior. JB is going to have time to play these next couple of years. But I'm a Quintana fan. I watched him really close a couple times here in the last couple weeks, and this kid can play. He's strong and he holds this team together. And until I can see someone who can actually really stop him from doing what he does, I'm going to go ahead and take El Dorado in this game with a slight win over Santa Fe.
Same here. Good game to go watch. Get up early, get there, listen to 101 17, watch on the NFHS network, or just go enjoy the game.
Yep, absolutely.
So I agree with you. El Dorado. Next game, tough game. Two teams in the same district, Rio Rancho, Atrisco, and let's break this one down. You start first. I got a lot of comments on this game.
I say the whole lower part of the bracket here. You have Rio Rancho, Atrisco, Cleveland, Las Cruces.
3 of those.
Yeah, if you remove Las Cruces, we got another district tournament going on down low. So, but let's start with Rio Rancho and Atrisco. Again, this is one of those deals where it's who's going to play better, and we know the matchup. They've seen each other, they know each other, they've played great games against each other. I saw the game at Atrisco where it went overtime. I thought Atrisco should have won that game. Rio Rancho ended up winning that game. At Atrisco that was. When you're coaching and you're in this type of game, the only thing you hope for is that you just don't have a bad game. You just want your team to come and play as good as they can. And you feel if your team plays as good as they can, they'll win. With that being said, I'll say this, that if Atrisco plays as good as they can, they'll be able to beat Rio Rancho in this game. But Atrisco is going to have to play their best basketball. Stopping the big kid Gallegos inside will be a concern for Adrian Ortega. But in my mind, experience from last year, pit setting, I'm going to go ahead and go with Atrisco slightly in this game. This one's, to me, is a coin toss.
Well, that's probably the first one we disagree with.
All right.
And nothing against, I tell you what, like I said, very close game. Two teams that play each other, they don't have to scout each other. They know what, it's just consistency from the other players besides Ramos is the big concern that I have. I think that Gallegos is a big concern. I don't think they have an answer for him on the inside. I think they can go in, accept him for one of the best defensive player in the state, but he's not consistent offensively. And then the other scorer got Galaxio, I believe, Galaxio. He's not being consistent. If those two are consistent, Atrisco Heritage wins this game. But,
I know, it's a tough one. It really is.
So I'm going to go on Rio Rancho on this one.
Don't blame you, right? And I talked earlier about having a great player and what they can do.
But you talked about experience, under the radar. What a great job he's done. Ortega. You think about him, and if you really break it down, Ortega and Benjamin. In the last 4 years, they got the best winning record overall. Unbelievable. It's an unbelievable margin, and both these coaches have won state championships. So it's
and a shout out to Wally Slaughter because I think this might be his best year he's done of coaching. in terms of a basketball team. I know he's won state with a team a few years back, but I think from start to end, I think Rio Rancho being where they are right now, a 3 seed, I don't think anybody would have called that at the beginning of the year. So a big compliment to Wally and what he's done this year.
Cleveland, Las Cruces. I think that's the game. I mean, people really want to see Cleveland after losing the state championship last year. Las Cruces being 28-0 and getting the number 2 seed.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of storylines behind this game.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people would have said that this is who they might have thought would be playing for the state championship at the beginning of the year. Maybe these two teams, and that's kind of how it was set up early in the year and how well they were playing, and how now they have to face each other in the quarters. So much of this game is going to depend on how Cleveland is able to manage their foul situation and how much bench support they're going to get, because I see Las Cruces being able to really get into them and create some problems defensively for Cleveland. On the other end, you talked about it, when you have players like Mohammed and Munn and Smith, the other guard is good.
And he's playing with Hab. I'm talking from a defense. Yeah. So, and then, everybody, thinks he maybe be a little out of control sometimes on the offensive end. Yeah. But man, defensively, he's like a spark plug.
He certainly is. And then, but the sleeper in all this is Trey Watson. He now he's kind of got that football behind him. He's played pretty well this last month, and he had a coming out party last year in the pit. He's a load inside, and he creates problems for people. And when you can have a guy, when you're playing in the pit, that can score in the paint effectively, it's a huge advantage. I'm gonna go ahead and say that I'm gonna go with Cleveland in this game, handing Las Cruces their first loss of the season and bouncing them from the state tournament in the quarterfinals.
Well, I'm jumped on Benjamin. I watched him play Sandia and Manzano, and their top 5 is as good as anybody in the state. Now they're Benjamin's son, William Benjamin Jr., I guess.
Freshman, right?
Yeah, he's starting to shoot it and being more consistent, and I think that was a big concern when I saw him there. But they're 28-0. Okay, and no disrespect to Coach Armini, these guys have played in close games and somehow have figured out how to win the games. Is there a little bit of a just in the back of the player's mind and being in a close game, or can they come through and finish? Mm-hmm. And I think that's, and both teams' experience. The year before Benjamin. Just saying. So there's really 2 good coaches.
Yep.
Great talent. I'm going Las Cruces.
Love it. Don't blame you. Can't argue it.
All right, we're going to take a break, come back, and we're going to go to the semifinals.
Dream Style Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dream Style Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dream Style Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club, or DreamStyleRemodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a #1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network. Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Hi, I'm JP Murrieta with the New Mexico Activities Association. The state basketball tournament will be here before you know it. It's the biggest sporting event in New Mexico. The tournament passes for the state basketball championships are on sale now. Don't wait in line, get ahead of the game and get your pass. Passes may be purchased at the NMAA office or over the phone. You can call 923-3110. The cost is $135 per pass, which includes a reserved seat at Dreamstyle Arena, also known as the Pit, and a commemorative program. Additionally, pass holders are entitled to entry into all state basketball games at all tournament sites, including first round of state tournament action beginning March 8th. You can get in at every site with this pass. Get yours today. Be a part of the biggest sporting event of the year.
Long three by Bates, yes! But Antonio throws it away. Ahendo Yenyelke spins. Fine. Jelante Gray, here comes Munn. Send it in, Jalen.
Leave Terry wide open. Look at this from Mohammed all the way on a spin.
The drive back at the other end, beautifully done. That's the age-old question. Here's Manzano. He's being worked on by Nakai Smith. Manzano going all the way to the basket.
Smith says, give me that. Here's Munn, and he'll throw it.
Three to play. Deathridge looks up. He's been clutch all year. Is he going to get one off? He does, and he cans it. Nothing but ice through the veins of Jake Deathridge.
Gets it back. Mohammed alley-oop to Munn. You're not going to score really with .6 here unless Domina Lovato knocks us down.
And he got it!
And I guess it was worth it.
A great call.
Unbelievable by Domina Lovato.
Hey, welcome back to Steve Davis Show. We got Brian O'Neill, color analysis for 101.7 The Team, doing a lot of government games next week, right?
Oh, yeah.
And this weekend, too.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to start Wednesday morning. We're going to start Wednesday morning. We usually go all day Wednesday, all day Thursday, slow down a little bit on Friday, and then try to have a championship Saturday.
And that'll be Scott Gleddy and yourself and
Austin Denton.
Austin Denton.
Yep.
What a crew!
Yeah.
And I know you guys just love that.
Oh no, it's great, and it's been a lot of fun.
And then they're going to be is the remote going to be there too?
Oh yeah, well we'll be doing like live cut-ins up top and trying to update everybody on what's going on in the college scene during between games. So it's March Madness, and we like to kick it off at 101.7 The Team by just having a face there at the pit and having a presence, allowing great interviews with people, bringing in people from the NMA, talking a little bit about the tournament. Some former Lobos will get them on the air, and then update everybody on what's going on in the Mountain West tournament as well with the Lobos.
Well, we're down to the Final Four, and this is basically Volcano Vista El Dorado.
So we both agree on these two teams, and my thought going in before Valencia was hurt was I thought that El Dorado, if they could start finding that third
if
scorer,
El Dorado had Valencia and they were in this bracket,
yeah,
it would be a different.
completely different story than what, obviously I would tell you that I think Volcano's going to move on, but what early year I thought they had two players in Quintana and Valencia, and I thought they were getting in the habit of developing maybe a third scorer and another inside player, and I said how those other guys develop moving forward with Valencia and Quintana could make this team a state championship team. And the sad thing is, I think those other players were starting to develop. And then
Carpenter's getting a little bit more consistent. On the shot. And then the young transfer coming in.
Yeah, Agabusi.
I'm glad I didn't butcher his name. I'm glad
and I hope I didn't.
But he really is. The difference in him. If you can go back to the La Cueva first game, La Cueva El Dorado, he missed a lot of easy shots. Well, he carried them in the last game. That was over a period of 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, and he's really developed. If Roy starts him and plays him more minutes, I think this team is. I mean, he's a star in itself.
Yeah.
And then Lovato and Diehl are looking for the shots, and earlier in the 4 games they played in.
Yeah.
Now they're used to shooting those. Before they didn't know if they should be shooting those shots now.
Yeah, and exactly, they're kind of coming together and with a little bit more confidence. But yeah, Agabusi's development, Carter hitting from the perimeter, and I just felt that they were starting to kind of mold. And for Roy, he's had some tough breaks. He had a tough loss last year in the pit, which we all know about. Losing a kid like Valencia, like second to last week of the season.
But he's done a great job of keeping this team
together.
No,
but he always has. He's always had his team there. He's always had a real good perspective on it, and his team's always played great. I feel bad that because as a coach you don't always get these opportunities, and I think last year one slipped away on a controversial call, and this year one might slip away because of an injured superstar player. So with that being said, I don't want to take anything away from Volcano Vista because they're a complete basketball team, and they've earned that #1 seed. Their depth there's nobody close to it in the state. I think when Aragon and Madrid, when they can get them going early inside, and they have a really good inside presence, they're close to unbeatable. If they don't get off to a good start on the inside and get Aragon or Madrid kind of get going offensively, I think they're somewhat beatable. I think they have a couple question marks defensively with a couple liabilities that some good coaches could maybe kind of pick out a little bit. But from top to bottom in this matchup, I'm going to move Volcano Vista ahead.
Well, Greg Brown, I mean, we talked, about Roy. I mean, hey, came from nowhere. Let's just face it, guys. Anybody that's listening to our show, that the 11 and 12 seeds won the last 2 years.
Right.
So I guess where I'm going with this, and anybody can win this state championship because there's so much parity.
Absolutely, 100%. And I think that the one thing I would not argue with you against is that I think the state tournament this year might be a little bit more top heavy than has been in the past. I think in the past, you saw teams maybe 1 through 14. You said, gosh, I don't want to play them early. I don't want to have to play them. I think there's a little bit more of a gap this year because I think some of the
I think that 1 through 8 or 9 is the Hobbs, Clovis, Hammond would be.
Exactly.
And then after that, it kind of drops.
Kind of drops a little bit. Yeah, I think honestly from 7 on down, from Cleveland on down, you've got some pretty good basketball teams. And I would tell you also that again, we talked about them earlier. I wouldn't sleep on La Cueva neither. I think they have a pretty good nucleus of players.
So is it going to be 10, 11, and 12?
Well, like I said, 11 and 12 will won it. Does 10 get in this year?
Is this year? Because Frank is still. We didn't talk about how great he is and what he's accomplished, and you just never know when he gets in. I mean, last year he loses you think about similar to with Cleveland and Las Cruces, La Cueva goes down to Hobbs and loses on a free throw.
I know.
And at the buzzer. At the buzzer. So is that in the back of their mind? These guys know that they can play. It's a tough matchup for Cleveland. But back to our. I'm going Volcano Vista too.
Yeah.
I think that everything we said. Greg Brown's done a great job. And now we come down to Las Cruces. I have Rio Rancho, and you have a Trisco Heritage. So you start with your breakdown of. Well,
I would say this. I've said this all year long. Is that I think Cleveland. And I have them moving. You had them losing. But if with moving along, I think Cleveland is a very experienced basketball team, very talented basketball team, and they're a tough team to beat. Even though they have losses, they don't lose by many. They're always in every game, and so when you're playing them, you're going to have your hands full. I think in this type of setting, in this type of game, and I'm going to go back and I say it again, because of Watson and the way I've seen him start to develop late this year, I like their chances of winning here and getting to the finals. I wish they had a little bit more depth. I think probably Sean and Menace probably would hope that they had a little bit more depth.
But don't take away from Moreno and those guys coming off those the benches really come along.
Yeah, and I agree. They have kids that have come in there and done some good things, and maybe this is the coach in me that I'm a little bit more I'll be a little bit more critical. But if I'm coaching against Cleveland, I'm trying to get to their bench. You're always trying to find what is a weakness in the team. To me, I'm trying to get to their bench and get a few of those starters out of the game. That's why I don't think they're as strong.
You want to get those speed out there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where because they score in bunches. In 2 minutes. I've always said this the whole year is that there's no lead too big for them to catch up, and then there's no lead because they go the other way they go south on the other side of it, and somebody can get back into the game.
Absolutely, and I think that's where the bench, when they go to the bench, I don't think they're as good defensively. And I think offensively, there's a couple guys that can make up for some things, but that speed that they lose and that quickness and just the ability to anticipate certain things, when a few of those starters sit down, they become a little bit of a different team. And I saw in the Metro tournament, and it was in the semifinals of the Metro tournament, Steve, and I believe it was Mohammed got in foul trouble. And they just became half the team they were, with him sitting on that bench, being on that bench the majority of that game. And somehow they managed to win that game late. So like I'm just trying to say, there are a couple bad fouls and a couple players not being on the court from being a pretty average team. But when they're at their best and they got their guys playing their best, I think they're hard to beat, and I think they've proven that.
Well, so who do you got going?
I'm gonna move Cleveland. My final is gonna be Cleveland and Volcano Vista, and I have them playing for the championship it would be the 5th time if they play this year. They'll play this season.
Be a very close game.
It'll be down. They all are, right?
Right. This one's going to be down to the last second if that does happen, which would be very, very, very interesting.
Or overtime.
Or overtime. I agree. Mine. Rio Rancho, Las Cruces, Rio Rancho. I think you already said it, Wally. I think it's probably one of his best coaching jobs that he's done, besides the year he won the state championship, came from nowhere to win it. So you can never count out Wally, and they kind of, the Patterson is kind of emotional. I think it's emotional for basketball fans. I think 3 or 4 players, four players over the. So you're thinking about that's over the last 10, 12 years, and you just think of every time you see Rio Rancho, there's going to be a Patterson. Gallegos, probably one of the most improved big men I've seen, and he's a man. I don't know. You're down. But what a great gentleman. I mean, when you talk with him, it's yes sir, no sir. It's got my respect, but Coach Benjamin, I think I think it's your year. Nothing against Rio Rancho, and I think it could be Cleveland, like you said, but I'm going to go with Las Cruces, and we're going to break Volcano Vista, and we kind of talked about that a little bit, Volcano Vista and Cleveland, if that works for you.
Let me one thing go back up a little bit, and I want to talk about a little bit of Gallegos and Olney, and also for Rio Rancho, is we talked about having that scorer in the paint, in the pit. And I remember, when I coached years ago that and I had a big kid in RT Gwynn. And I remember when we went into the pit, I just said to myself, it is so nice to have a guy that is that tall. And now he was 6'9", 6'8", 6'9", that I know that we could get some easy baskets, because baskets are so hard to come by. But when you have a big guy in there that can get those ones right near the rim, get those rebounds.
And he's making them this year. Early in the year he wasn't making. Now he knows he's the guy. He knows he finishes.
So you're right. So I understand the Las Cruces pick, but I did, to reiterate the Gallegos situation, and I'll start by and I like Olney's athletic ability and stuff that he can do to create for his teammates.
He's become a great defender.
No, he Yeah,
he brings energy into that team. I mean, he comes. Sometimes he starts, sometimes he doesn't, depending on what. But when he's in the game, all of a sudden you see him get a steal or he get a fast break or he creates havoc.
Yeah, he does. And I personally like him, Steve, with the ball in his hands a lot because I like it when they can get Patterson off the ball a little bit and they have Gallegos inside. They have Patterson moving around where they're starting to create some penetration, and then now you have more things to worry about, and you can't just focus on one guy, in particular in Patterson dribbling the ball. Get him off the ball, get him doing some stuff, and it opens up that court. And I think that they do that a lot when Olney has it. But yeah, move on. We'll take Cruces to the finals. You have Cruces and Volcano Vista. I have Cleveland and Volcano Vista. I mean, if any of these matchups would be a great state championship, and all these teams are worthy of being there and winning one. Top to bottom, I felt all year long that Volcano Vista is the most complete team I've seen. Watched Cruces once, was impressed with them. I don't think that I thought they should have been the number one seed from a personal standpoint because I think until you're beat, and I think they try to play people, but that's for what it's worth. You know, they get a 2 seed, but they have a chance to prove themselves. But my gut tells me this year that this state championship is going to go to Cleveland, and I think I've picked Cleveland the last 2 years. You know,
so you just think it's going to happen.
The third time's the charm. But I just, you know, I just think they have enough. I think it's a gutsy pick. You know, they would be a 7 seed, but I don't think they're a 7 seed. I think they're a top 2 or 3 team in the state, and I think these probably are the top 3 teams in the state right there. So that we're talking about. But I'm going to go ahead and move Cleveland, and I'm going to say that going into it this year, if they have to play Volcano that 5th time, I think they're going to get them, and I think we're going to see maybe Cleveland Storm with a state championship in boys basketball.
Well, I'll tell you what, Coach Ameni's, you know, he's, great points. He's been there, you know, give him some credit. You know, he was in the semifinals and the finals the last 2 years, and you know, he's just took over that coaching job, and you got to give him some good credit. You know, I have Las Cruces just because, you know, Coach Benjamin, I know that you don't think the northern part of the state believes in you, and you know, about kind of, I had this conversation with Greg Brown. It was like almost 4 weeks ago before the game, and we were talking with him, and he goes, how good is Las Cruces? And I said, I've seen them twice, and I just watched the box scores, and nobody's beating them. And even when teams, you know, even when they're having a bad night, they figure a way out how to win.
Yep.
And I think their top 5 is maybe better than Volcano Vista. Wow. Okay, they may be, you know, their top 5 may be better. The question is, if they stay out of foul trouble, stay out of, they don't turn, you know, you got to go beat them. And same with Volcano Vista, you got to go beat them. I'm going Las Cruces. I'm going with Las Cruces on it. I said this 4 or 5 weeks. I know Adam Diehl and everybody says it, and you know, most people are saying, well, if they wouldn't be undefeated if they were in that thing. Well, guess what? They're undefeated.
Yeah.
And I think that he's got them focused. This team is. Felt, you know, they got, you know, Ray Brown, you know, and the brother was a star this year. He's coming on, but I want Corbett on. That's the player I want you to watch. You know, he's a transfer, and I wouldn't say a transfer. He moved into their district from Australia. I can't wait to see him play because, you know, I watched it. I just know that he's better and better, and he's a guy that just wants the ball, and he just does instinctively the right thing almost every time. You'd love to, I mean, it's like, because it make you look good as a coach, because he just does stuff that other players I haven't seen in high school in a long time.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it, and I, you know, it's one of the things that we talked about Cleveland and we talked about Las Cruces down here at the very beginning. We said, gosh, Las Cruces got this tough matchup right away with Oñate, and then
yeah, you know what? And these teams are going to be tested all the way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you look at this road, if it is Las Cruces, if it is Cleveland, you know, Cleveland's got to get by a great La Cueva team. Las Cruces got to get by a district foe and Oñate. Then they're going to have to beat either Cleveland or Las Cruces, one or the other. Then they're going to have to face a Trisco or Rio Rancho according to our brackets. I mean, this is going to be, you know, you're talking for Las Cruces, it'll be, okay, we get by a win here. Now we face a 7 seed that should possibly be a two or 3 seed. Then we face a 4 seed or a 2 seed. You know, that's right there, or a 3 seed, I should say. And then we face a 1 seed. I mean, so it's like boom, boom, boom. You find out, you know, the cream's going to rise to the top no matter how you kind of cut it. But this won't be easy for anyone, you know, to win this thing. Looking at it, you would think on the surface that it looks like Volcano Vista's got a much easier path considering the team they have and some of the teams they're playing. And it proves out that way on paper. But again, when you get in these games and you get in that setting and you know the games can happen, that's why it's rarely a situation where it's 1 versus number 2. You know, you don't get it a lot, Steve. And you said, what, 12-1 2 years ago, 10 or 11-1 2 years ago, 12-1 last year, whatever it might have been. It's, you know, that's not 1 or 2. Yeah.
Well, Brian, let's come back and we'll talk about the rest of the state tournament. But you know, to recap real quick, you know, it was really you've got Volcano Vista and Cleveland winning it. I got Volcano Vista and Las Cruces winning it. That's on record.
It's for $1.
This is for lunch. Big time lunch, man. Big time lunch. You know. Anyway, we'll come back and talk about the rest of the tournament.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network. Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili, breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, #life change will occur.
Hey, welcome back to Steve Davis Show. We've got Brian O'Neill, 1017 color analysis, and again, real quick, you know, starting Wednesday with 1017 the team. We got Scott Galletti and Austin Denton. I know you're excited.
Yeah, it's always fun, and I think we've been doing this now almost like 12 years, 11, 12 years. Started out with the great Mike Roberts doing color with him, and now Scott's stepped in for him and done an outstanding job. But yeah, there's just nothing like it. I know a lot of people, you know, when the Lobos were playing really well, would take off and go to Vegas and watch the Lobos play, and I'd say, you know, I'm gonna sit here and watch the state tournament, and there was no place I'd rather be than watching those high school games and watching these teams at all classes. It's just fun basketball, exciting basketball, and there's just nothing like it, especially when you get the pageantry of the student body and the bands and everything that goes along with it. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, I'm going to tell you, who's your dark horse? I mean, we kind of went through it, and I got 1 and 2, and you got 1 and 7, and you got 7 winning it. Okay, so
I would say, okay,
I got 2 wins.
If I look at it, Steve, and I say, okay, you know, for the teams that are 9 or above, you know, from the 9 seed all the way up, who do I think has a legit chance that they could maybe be that surprise team like, you know, Volcano Vista was or Rio Rancho were in years in the past? And I said earlier, I think it's La Cueva. I think La Cueva as a 10 seed has a good nucleus of talent. They'll have a heck of a tough road, but a lot of time that's what it's taken. It's taken a tough road for teams to win this thing. And I think one thing that I alluded to on the radio last year, when you play a great team, early in the bracket, like La Cueva's playing Cleveland, you have 5 days where you have 5 really good practices. And you're
focused.
Yeah, you're focused and you're ready to go. Because next week you only have 2 days to get ready. But it's something about those 5 days that kind of carry over into the next week. And I thought that's what happened when Rio Rancho won. I thought that's what happened when Volcano Vista won those years. They had a tough first-round matchup. They were, and they had to win that game, and it was on the road.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they're able to do that, and now they have a couple more days, and you know what? They're feeling pretty good about themselves. So they're practicing in March, kind of like they were in November, which can start, good things can start happening for you if you can get by that game.
Well, I agree. It's happened. We've seen it happen. And so you're saying,
I'd say if there's one dark horse, I'm going to go with La Cueva. How about you?
Well, I'm going to go back to the Santa Fe team, or Santa Fe teams.
Yep.
Okay, because Coach Gomez and Zach Cole will do, because they're guard orientated and they control the tempo and they like to press and they're very disciplined. The guys know when to take the shots. They know, they play within themselves. So Santa Fe is my team that, I don't think they can beat Volcano Vista, but they could give them a run if they get by El Dorado.
Yeah, and I'm with you with there's something about and with Coach Gomez and Coach Cole is it's called I call it like defensive discipline. These teams aren't going to beat themselves defensively. They're not going to be going for these steals and do crazy stuff. They're going to play really good containment on defense, and they're going to make you beat them. But they're not going to be giving up easy buckets after easy buckets. Their transition defense is always good, and their half-court defense is always good. And what you talk about with the guard play, if those teams can get up late in games with that guard play and you're forced to foul them, then all of a sudden they go to the line and start making some free throws, then you're playing catch-up, and it gets to be a little bit scary.
Well, go Las Cruces. And I guess go Cleveland.
Go Cleveland.
And Benjamin, I got a lunch on this, and if I lose, I'm coming down and collecting on this thing. So anyway, hey, it's going to be great. Again, 101.7 the team, buy your NFHS pass, or just go out and participate and watch the games. And Brian, it's always fun. And this year we're on record.
That's right. Good enough. All right, Steve.